The last Comic-Con revelation was a real shock. Personally, I had a hard time understanding this move, considering that it was a failure like many others. Even you were totally shocked. We all love Robert Downey Jr. We all consider him as an excellent actor.
Nice.
But how to make him change character? Why would Marvel take this risk? And what do we do with Iron Man? This is the question we all ask ourselves, and I myself reacted extremely vehemently. But I'll tell you, my job is not to react, but to take the time to connect all the dots between them and to reveal what has not been said. So sit back, because I'm going to explain why Robert Downey Jr.'s cast is the best choice of the MCU since its creation. Since it's not just going to give us gigantic movies, but I think that, contrary to what I said before, it's going to sublimate Kang and Loki. Hello everyone, I'm Sam, and today we're going to remove all the fear that leads to the dark side to give us a cold and complete analysis of this incredible announcement. I'm warning you, after watching this video, you won't be able to wait for the rest of the MCU, so don't forget to subscribe, and let's go. Marvel wanted to shock everyone with this Comic-Con, and it worked. After almost an hour of interesting but shy details, Kevin Feige launches a bomb and confirms the return of the Russo brothers in the game to realize what will probably be Marvel's biggest pop culture event, the Avengers 5 and 6 movies, named Doomsday and Secret Wars. And they don't come back alone, because with them, they bring back Steve McFeely, the screenwriter who worked on the Captain trilogy and on Infinity War and Endgame. A team that has surely created epic events by not adapting a comic directly from the original story, but by taking elements from many incredible stories to make a unique movie.
Nice.
Because whether it's Winter Soldier, Civil War, or Infinity War, these movies have absolutely nothing to do with the comics whose title is based on. They do it themselves, but the story is totally different. And yet, for me, they are clearly the best MCU movies ever. And so far, yes, Marvel's multiverse is very poorly exploited. Marvel wanted to add a lot of concepts and finally focused on a pile of cameos, of tasteless variants, without ever really exploiting the concept of a parallel universe. Because in the best interpretations of the multiverse, whether it's in the Dark Matter series or in the old Slider, for example, parallel worlds are universes similar to ours, but where a character at a critical moment made a different decision that led him to another path and therefore to a totally different destiny that changed the face of his universe. This is the butterfly effect principle. A different decision impacts a whole world. For example, there is a world where the attempt on Trump could have succeeded, a world whose destiny would probably be totally different from ours. And that's the whole concept explained in Loki. Nexus events can only give birth to choices that impact his universe, which gives a branch very similar to our world. But if the Nexus event is huge, then it's a whole new universe that's being created. And that's why the multiverse is infinite in the end. With this in mind, let's go back to our Comic-Con. With emotion, it was extremely difficult to correctly reflect on what had just happened. But in fact, once again, everything is in front of us, and it's extraordinary. The introduction of the Russo starts with Secret Wars. They announced to us that to do justice to Secret Wars, the comics, there is an essential character. The new Avengers 5 title is unveiled. It's Doomsday, which has a lot more impact than you think. But we'll get back to that in a few minutes. Here comes an army of dooms on stage. At first, we understand that the two Avengers movies are closely linked. That, plus the fact of taking up the scheme of what worked extremely well in the Infinity War and Endgame duos, with two movies separated by only 1 year.
I am the one.
Finally, they add, if we want to bring Doom back to the cinema, I think we have to bring back the best actor in the world. Here is the proof of the unimaginable possibilities that the Marvel multiverse offers. We offer you the only person who can play Victor Von Doom.
We give you the one person who could play Victor Von Doom.
From there comes out of the Dooms a Green Doom, who takes off his mask and reveals the actor of Tony Stark, Robert Downey Jr. Once again, I was shocked, not understanding what just happened, but the theorist is finally back, and it's time to analyze what we really wanted to show. The Russo brothers explained to us that they will pay tribute to Secret Wars by really including Dr. Doom as the main character, which means that they will be greatly inspired by the 2015 run of Jonathan Hickman. But at the same time, they explain how much the multiverse offers incredible opportunities. And here comes Robert Downey Jr., who leaves absolutely nothing to chance. He takes off his mask, spreads his arms like the first time we meet Tony in 2008, and puts on his glasses. The first words he pronounces are, New mask, same task.
New mask, same task.
And that's how, as I told you, everything is in front of us. He just told us who this Dr. Doom is. Of course, the Russo announced that he would be Victor Von Doom. But everything Robert Downey Jr. did during this reveal shows us, in my opinion, that he is, under the mask, a variant of Tony Stark. And I'm convinced of it today. Spreading arms, clearly representing this moment of Iron Man 1. Sunglasses as soon as the mask is removed. And especially this sentence, new mask, same quest. The Tony Stark of the MCU spent his life trying to save his Earth, to protect it from threats he didn't understand himself. And the number of times Tony's decisions could have made him go on the dark side are numerous, especially with Age of Ultron, where he clearly envisaged putting on a robot army to protect the planet, which is a more or less fascist vision of security, not so different in the end from Hydra's plan in Captain America and the Winter Soldier, and then this Sokovia Pact, which is a way to militarize superheroes. Tony is the brightest brain of the 616 universe, simply because he has never been challenged. He has never faced a Reed Richards or a Victor Von Doom, who in the comics are infinitely superior in intelligence. And that's where we come back to the concept of multiverse. This character is simply a Stark who never had a Captain America by his side to calm him down, or a Pepper Potts who pushed him to start a family. But on the contrary, rivals who came to challenge his intelligence to the point of having no more limits. A Stark who surely had a tragic destiny, losing a lot, and who is ready to do anything to fulfill his destiny, save his world. And in the end, that's what brings him closest to the Von Doom of the comics. If this character is so appreciated, it's because he is neither good nor bad. He's a gray character, without morals, ready to do anything to reach his goals. When I say neither good nor bad, it's because he treats heroes and their enemies in the same way. Who can he help to serve his own interests? But above all, he's convinced that he's the only one who understands how to save the world, and that he's the only one who can do what has to be done, even if it's not morally acceptable. I'm telling you, a Stark who didn't have a captain by his side to play this role. But let's take 2 seconds to explain who's in the comics Victor Von Doom. Very quickly, Victor is from Latveria, a small, poor, and corrupted country in Eastern Europe. His mother is a sort of gypsy witch who sold her soul to the devil. So Victor emigrates to the United States, determined to save his mother. He gets a scholarship and studies in the most prestigious school in the country, alongside his rival, Reed Richards. Reed will then become his obsession. He wants to prove that he's smarter than him until he tests a machine still in design to prove to Reed that his calculations are good. When he does, he tells him that they're not, a machine that's on fire. The accident burns Victor's face, totally humiliated, who returns to the country to take refuge in the mountains of Latveria to learn the mystic arts. He's so good that the monks of his temple worship him and create a cult in his image. He then creates the identity of Dr. Doom. Today, he considers himself the greatest genius in the world and the second most powerful magician. After all, you know, he wants to do good, but his methods are extreme. He takes back Latveria to the corrupted leader, and he becomes a leader loved by his people and recognized by the international community. He will then get involved in the affairs of heroes when the land or his nation is in danger, and will alternate his alliances between villains and heroes. But this Doom of the MCU will probably be very different. No, I don't think Robert Downey Jr. has properly spoken of Victor Von Doom. I don't think he will have gypsy origins either, but I'm convinced that he will necessarily be a variant of Tony Stark. He'll go from the dark side to lead his quest with another mask. And when you think about it, this decision is totally logical. All the fans have dreamed of seeing Robert Downey Jr. come back as a variant of Tony in this multiverse saga, but only if it's well done. And in my opinion, it's impossible for the actor to play another character. The multiverse has already lost too many fans. Many have not understood, for example, why Captain America turned into a flame in Deadpool and Wolverine when the actor had already played the character of Johnny Storm in 2 movies. So I think it's impossible to make us believe that Robert Downey Jr. is really Victor Von Fatalis. It would be totally losing the Lambda audience. So assuming that it is a variant of Tony Stark, different from the heroes we know, makes a lot more sense and creates an instant attachment to the audience for him. And Marvel offers us a picture where we, the audience, but also the Avengers of the 616, will discover the variant of the greatest hero on Earth in more than disturbing encounters. Imagine if it were only for Peter who discovers Tony Stark under the mask with a simple Mr. Stark, because so far the variants have been used almost only to do fan service in a tasteless freak show. And it's cool to see the other Spider-Men, okay, full of Deadpool and Loki, yes, great. But in the end, the only variants that are really interesting are those of Strange. He too has long flirted between making choices of heroes and making the right choice, but in a dubious way. And we see that all these variants finally opted to make the difficult choice, even if it means losing everything. And when I say all, it's all, whether it's Defender Strange, Strange, ready to sacrifice America Chavez to take his powers. The Strange of 838 who used the Darkhold to defeat Thanos, and the Dark Strange who destroyed his universe by taking the wrong decisions. And even our Doctor Strange is now cursed by the Darkhold. In short, now that we've said all that, what does it change for the course of the saga? Because yes, for me, the saga is at the moment of failure. I assume they will not cancel the past, but simply modify the future. I was shocked that they didn't say anything about Kang, and besides that they didn't show anything about Phase 6 that we all expect. And in fact, after all, it's once again logical. Their goal was to break the internet with this announcement. Everything they could have announced around was simply useless, since we can see that the announcements on the other 3 movies, everyone doesn't care, and that it even evinced Deadpool and Wolverine. So I think that once everyone has digested this info, Disney will come back during the D23 to announce concretely what will happen by announcing the complete Phase 6. At least I hope so. And yes, nothing has been announced for Kang. I deduced that we would simply delete his presence, but in fact, thinking about it, not at all. If nothing has been announced, it is that, in the end, nothing changes. Kang is still the main threat of the multiverse, and I think he will always be part of the next projects, or that he will be an important part of the Doomsday movie, because yes, the title Doomsday obviously refers to Doom, but above all, in English, this term means the last judgment or the end of the world, and that's exactly what will happen in this Avengers 5. I told you Doomsday and Secret Wars will work in 2 parts. I think that what makes this Doom very interesting is that he will be exactly what he is in the comics, a character with a changing morale, who only follows his own agenda and who is ready to save his universe and the multiverse no matter the cost. He will probably be an ally of the Avengers of the 616, who will see him as Tony, the being who saved the universe of Thanos, but who will betray them at the end of the movie by making a decision almost impossible to understand for the heroes at the end of the multiverse and Doomsday. That's exactly what happens in the events of Time's Run Out, which is the run in the comics that precedes Secret Wars, where each universe fights for its survival and where Doom secretly operates to steal the power of the Beyonders and save a piece of each universe while the multiverse disappears. He then creates the battle world by becoming his king god. By the way, what makes me say that he won't be a villain at the beginning is the post-credits scene that was announced by Sean Levy, the director of Deadpool and Wolverine, and who, according to him, had to make us all blow our heads off. As you know, we only had a very funny scene, but which doesn't change much. However, leaks tell us that at the beginning, this scene had to show us a secret meeting between Robert Downey Jr. as Doom, Charles Xavier, and other characters who, for once, didn't run away. All of them discussing the fall of the multiverse. But this scene was cut during editing because apparently it didn't work. And since this reveal was supposed to be great, they finally decided to do it during the Comic-Con. Well, now that we've said all that, what could this new direction and the Avengers, Doomsday, and Secret Wars movies look like? But before getting into the craziest theories, I invite you to like, but especially to subscribe and activate the notification bell if you like what you hear, because in the next few months, we're going to theorize a lot about it. It's really the best way to support me today, and you're still too many to watch the videos without being subscribed. It's time to really get into the theory and why this decision makes the sequel extremely exciting, my friends. This new arc will probably have inspiration for Secret Wars, of course, Time's Run Out, as I told you, but also, as the Cosmic Circus Insider told us, Avengers Forever, which is a huge adventure where heroes from all over the multiverse form multiversal Avengers against Supreme Doom, an evil Doom who defeated and submitted all the other Dooms of the multiverse to conquer him, and finally runs like infamous Iron Man, or What If, demon in an armor where Doom and Stark exchange more or less their roles. I'm not going to dwell too much on the latter two because it's not really important, not to mention the adventure of the Ultimate Universe, Doomsday, where it is revealed that the big villain behind the mask of the Maker is in fact Reed Richards, a Maker who has a key role in Secret Wars since he is the evil version of Mr. Fantastic. In short, I told you, the team around the Russo brothers is not used to taking a comic and transcribing it as it is in the cinema, so you have to expect to be surprised. But here's how I theorize things. Deadpool and Wolverine could finally be the real beginning to all this. Of course, No Way Home introduced the Spider-Man variants that we will see again for this final, and Multiverse of Madness, the fact that Strange from Universe 616 is the character who is aware that the multiverse is threatened. But the Deadpool movie simplified the concept of the multiverse developed in Loki to the maximum and added a new concept, the anchor being. The Fantastic Four therefore come from another universe. Their movie will take us, as in their comics, in an exploration of space, but surely also of the multiverse. We see it from the trailer. Reed is aware that there is a multiverse with many lands that look like theirs, and the Galactus threat is approaching. approaching. A threat, let's say, absolutely impossible to defeat for them. So we have to find a solution. And this one can be found on other lands. An adventure that will surely lead to the multiverse threat, whether it's Kang or not. And I think this movie will lead us to a multiversal advice to face this threat, possibly with this Reed Richards, Strange from 616, Charles Xavier from the X-Men universe, and Doctor Doom from his own universe, who I remind you is a variant of Stark and who will surely have already defeated many Kang, showing the next step. Yes, he must be badass, otherwise it doesn't work. They will be basically the new Illuminati as those presented in Doctor Strange and the Multiverse of Madness. And it's probably the story of Doomsday. In this movie, we could learn that this Tony defeated Doctor Doom from his world to take his place. And it's probably the event that changed everything in his universe, since I was talking about the concept of anchor being, or agglomerator. And if in fact this Doctor Doom was this anchor being, and that Tony eliminated him, and that now his world is dying like the Deadpool one, this Stark will surely be very different from our world and could have lost everything, which would be the reason that he pushes him to steal the identity of his enemy to try to do good. From his point of view, in any case, he will defeat a lot of Dooms from several universes to make an army, hence the numerous Dooms present on the stage during the presentation. From there, a gigantic war taking up a lot of characters will take place on several fronts at the same time, and probably that events will come to break this alliance when incursions will come to face two worlds of its leaders, which will push Doom to act alone, to find his own solution which could be judged immoral by the other heroes, probably within the TVA, because this movie will undoubtedly end up with the end of everything. The hero having failed to solve himself, to get his hands dirty by destroying billions of lives just like in comics. Loki during this time will see his work disappear. His multiverse did not work. Doom will then manage to save what he can from this universe by confusing a maximum of worlds to send them into void. A void that will become his new kingdom, succeeding what Cassandra Nova did not succeed, using probably the same technology. And yes, finally, you see that Deadpool and Wolverine could have a real impact. Secret Wars will then see the multiverse rescuers create a rebellion made of many variants of our favorite heroes in this new world, probably led by a Loki who knows very well the void, decided to correct his mistakes, against a Doom convinced of having made the right choice and saved everyone. And it's probably one of the most interesting stories that can exist to this day, putting the role of the heroes in the balance, because these heroes generally always want to do good. But where is the real cursor? Is their vision of good the thing to do? It's more or less the whole story of fascism. All these leaders who end up as dictators are first seen as heroes, as saviors, and really think about doing good, only with slightly persecutory methods. And they always become the opposite of what they claim to be all their lives, making this choice of Robert Downey Jr. absolutely brilliant, since he would go from the ultimate hero who sacrificed himself to save the universe to this villain despite himself who sacrificed the multiverse to save it. And I think it can be Marvel's most epic adventure. Of course, all this is just theory, and everything will probably not happen like that. Maybe even nothing will happen like that. I don't know. But in truth, I think they really know what they're doing, and that's why the Russo brothers decided to come back. Only now the Comic-Con has made many rumors of the last few weeks, which makes this scenario plausible. For example, the fact that Marvel is trying to replace Kang. The decision to put Robert Downey Jr. was taken months ago, since they shot a post-credit scene for Deadpool and Wolverine. So Disney is really looking for a new actor for Kang. Also, the fact that Hugh Jackman would have agreed to come back if he teamed up with Robert Downey Jr. and Tobey Maguire, which is totally possible as soon as Doomsday. Also, the fact that Deadpool and Wolverine are very important for the sequel. In short, this announcement opens many doors much less dark than what I thought of my first reaction. And as for the rest, I still think that Marvel decided to put the turbo to close this multiverse saga, and I think it's an excellent decision. Now, all projects must lead to the end of the multiverse and to Secret Wars. Captain America will lead Thunderbolt and the new Avengers, two teams that will be useful in this war. The Fantastic Four at the beginning of this conflict, and the few films we expect like Doctor Strange 3 or Shang-Chi 2 must also lead to the end of the multiverse. These films must make us want to see the sequel. End the standalone without impact. The Time Run Out takes place for a year in the comics, where all the heroes try to find a solution to the irreversible end of the multiverse, while the rest of the world continues its life. And we must live these next 3 years in the same state of mind. The Midnight Suns and Blade can wait. There is no problem. I trust this little world to blow our brains out with the return of a safe value in a scenario that can be totally unexpected. Do I have to remind you how we all found ourselves at the end of Infinity War and Endgame? Now a question remains. Will we ever see a real Victor Von Doom and not a usurper? And this decision allows us to continue with the character in the sequel of the MCU post-Secret Wars. For that, we have to wait to find find out. So tell me, are you looking forward to it? But above all, if this analysis convinced you, because clearly I went from anger to total excitement. So guys, it was Sam and you were on KraziGeek.